Thank you so much. So glad to be here. I guess my question that I've had is, I think for the longest time, I have not been happy with my physical body. My physical body is perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. It runs fine, but I'm not happy with how it looks. A lot of times it's been with weight, and a lot of times I have felt kind of scrawny. And so I've lifted weights, and I've done the action journey, and I've gone to really try to make things happen, really work really hard to put on the muscle, and bulk myself up. And I've been somewhat successful with that, but yet the whole time I'm doing it, I'm feeling that I'm still weak. And I guess it's finally occurred to me after listening to a lot of what you've had to say that the reason I've had so much trouble is I've been fighting it instead of, I guess, maybe taking part of the action journey and lifting the weights, but at the same time thinking I'm strong. I've been thinking I'm weak. And so, I've had this idea that I can't look the way I want to look. People have said, oh, your body frame won't support the way you want to look. You can't have this, you can't have that. And I've listened to them, which I think has been my biggest mistake. And so I guess what my question is that can I actually transform into the body that I want if I can get myself into alignment? So even though I'm physically healthy, so it's not really like curing any kind of diseases, but it's actually just transforming the body into a shape that I would be very happy with.
Well, yes, you can get to there, certainly. And everything that you've said has come from a very wise place of understanding. There's not a lot that we can add to what you have already concluded, which is absolutely accurate. We'll emphasize it a little bit here, that when you say, I want this thing that I do not have, you are asking the stream to go and bucking it at the same time. When you say, I want something that is impossible, the split energy keeps you from being able to accomplish it. So when your mind is splitting energy, it does not matter what action you perform, the action doesn't have enough leverage in it to overcome the split energy. So much so that we like to make extreme statements and say things like, a person who believes that a Twinkie is unhealthy should not eat a Twinkie. But if you understand that your body is responding to your thoughts more than it is, we would rather that you eat a Twinkie in joy than that it's actually better for the overall physical condition than that you eat food that you believe is healthy food in protest, because split energy has so much power in it, you see. And so imagine how much you can accomplish. In other words, you have a very clearly focused, very well managed desire. In other words, we can feel the clarity of this desire, but you have a nearly equally focused doubt about your desire. And that's what makes it all feel hard. And that's why you're not taking pleasure in the action. And it's also why you're not getting the kind of results that you would get if you could get your energy all moving in the same direction.
It seems that, I've gotten some results, but I feel like I could have gotten even more with a lot less effort had I let go of the resistance.
Well, what happens is when you begin going with the flow, the effort becomes less of a factor. In other words, Jerry and Esther were driving down a freeway the other night, and they noticed that there were some new barricades that had been built in order to prevent people from crossing into the head-on traffic and having head-on collisions. And Esther noted that if a car were to lose control and bounce over against this series of wires that they'd placed, that the car would bounce back into this traffic. And Jerry pointed out that since this traffic is already moving in the same direction, that even though the car is out of control, it entering traffic that's moving in the same general direction that it is much less of a problem than if it entered the flow of traffic that was coming from the other direction. And Esther said, there's something in that Abraham needs to tell us about resistance. In other words, when the energy stream, when the stream of life, when the stream of desire is calling you this way, and you sort of kind of go, but not really, it's better than if you're going in opposition to it. But if you sort of kind of go and you relax more so that you really begin to go until you finally let yourself, you stop dragging your feet in the water, you stop dragging your oars in the water, you stop dragging all of your things of resistance in the water, and you pull yourself and you just really let yourself go with the flow. The more you're able to do that, the more you refine your thinking, then the better it all is. So certainly you are better off if you have a desire for a change in your body condition and you are making some effort to accomplish it. You're better off in making that effort than in making no effort. But what you are recognizing is it ought to be easier for me than it is. And certainly when somebody tells you, oh, you can't have what you want, and you listen to them as if they have some sort of credibility, then that's more than just dragging your oars in the water. That's when you suddenly turn around and start paddling in the opposite direction. And you can feel the intensity of really going with the flow. That's what passion is. Sort of going with the flow. That's what optimism is, or hope is. Hardly going with the flow. That's what hesitation and reluctance is. Not going with the flow. That's what doubt and worry is. Really not going with the flow. That, in fact, paddling in the opposite direction, that's what anger is. Really not going with the flow. In other words, you can feel the intensity of how you're placed in the stream by the way you feel. The thing we always want to point out, and we've done it several times here today, but it really is something that we want you to hear and really think about. The combination of the pointed desire and the pointed belief in relationship to the desire is what equals what you feel. So there are a lot of people that could actually be getting better results than you are getting, who care even less about the body that they want, and that's what's bugging you. But when you take all the information and figure out what all of these pieces to the equation equal, you understand that somebody who doesn't want as much as you do, that has no resistance, is getting a lot better results than somebody who wants as poignantly as you do and has resistance. Doesn't that explain a lot? Doesn't that explain why so many people seem to be thriving who don't deserve it? Because you think that their deservability is tied to their effort. And we're wanting you to know that no deservability is tied to effort. You all deserve to have everything that life has caused you to want. But unfortunately, something that happens to everybody is that it seems that the more you want something, the more you work against yourself, because the harder you try and the more you see it as an ordeal that you must dig in and conquer and triumph over. And there's something about that conquering, digging in, and triumphing over that has you pointed upstream that works really hard against you. So when somebody says to you, your whatever does not support the desire that you hold, say to them, I know you mean well, even though you're breaking my heart with your words. I know you may be well-meaning, but you, sir, are misinformed. Because I now understand that if this time-space reality has the wherewithal to inspire a desire within me, that this time-space reality has the wherewithal to deliver it to me. So if I can want it, I can achieve it, and I can achieve it easier by not listening to your words than if I listen to your words. So I won't be asking for your commentary anymore because your commentary takes me upstream, which is counter to what I want. It's interesting because even in the building of a muscle, there is this human expectation of resistance. In other words, the trainers will tell you that in order to get that muscle, you have to badger it into, and we say, but think about what's happening. In all of that you are calling resistance is the focusing of the desire for the achievement of something. And you got to give some of the credit to the power of the desire, you see. So what we wish for you is a discovery of a training that you will take pleasure in. And it is our wish that you discover the enormous leverage in thought. And we promise you that if you keep this dream alive, and it's a powerful dream that is very alive, if you don't squelch it with contradictory thought, so you just continue to want as you are wanting relative to this, and you find more downstream thoughts about it, you will begin to notice immediately physical responses to this powerful desire. And there will come a time that you will be inspired to tell others what you figured out about this. Because the majority of the world, relative to physical fitness and relative to physical well-being, is going about it in such a contradictive way that they are well in spite of themselves, literally. Literally.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.